Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be a champion guide for Venus. So let's get into it. Alrighty, let's fire up the index, and we're going to go to Sacred Order on the top right, the Void. Legendary support champion, this is Venus. Now, this video is probably long overdue because if I pull up my tier list, I actually had Venus in the #1 spot for a long time until Sify the Lost Bride came out. And the way my tier list works is I don't rank the champions in terms of where they grade out, you know, #1, #10, #20. I set it up to have the different categories weighted differently, like being good in the clan boss is much more important than being a good XP farmer because there's more scarcity in that role. There's a lot of good XP farmers. There's not a lot of S tier clan boss champions. So I weight it, and then I just grade the champions in each category, and the spreadsheet spits out the overall grade and the rank. And when I did that, Venus graded out as #1 because she's just so generally useful. She's probably one of the best champions in the game that a new player could summon just because they can use them in every single team and she will perform well in every single situation. Now, unfortunately, she is a Void Legendary, so she's going to be one of the most difficult champions in the game to acquire. Void Legendaries are insanely hard because there's no Sacred Shard for Void champions. You have to get every champion out of an ancient shard in terms of summoning a legendary odds. So Void Legendaries are insanely tough to get, and your odds of getting one that is ridiculously good like Venus is going to be even lower because there's lots of Void champions that would fall towards the back end of that and wouldn't be near as generally useful as Venus. So not a whole lot of people have her. I don't have her. Shout out to my good friend ADM Snack Bar. I had to use his account to go ahead and review her and work on this video for you guys because odds are most of us are never going to have Venus, myself included. But let's put away this tier list and dive into a discussion about Venus and go over everything. So base stats, wow, very good. 22,600 is a really good base HP. Then the attack is going to be low at only 1090, but you can build her in so many different ways. She's not really a glass cannon nuker like a Skull Crown or something, so that's totally fine. Base defense of 980 it's a little low, but it's okay. We like to see the base defense be over 1,000, especially for a support, but it's not like 800 or something. It's not too low. Base speed of 112 is amazing. It's one of the highest in the game. Anything over 105 is really good base speed. The crit rate, the crit damage, all par for the course, and then the resistance and accuracy. Sometimes getting base accuracy can be handy, and she gets base accuracy of 20, so that's definitely better than some champions start with a base accuracy of 0, and it's a lot harder to get them to those endgame accuracy thresholds. Then in terms of her kit, we've got the A1 that attacks one enemy 2 times and each hit with a 50% chance of placing a 5% poison for 2 turns. Then the A2 is AoE that we don't even have to spend a book to get to. It's just default AoE, which is very rare, especially for a legendary. Usually it starts as a 4-turn cooldown and then you have to book it, spend 5-6 books to get that cooldown reduction from 4 to 3, but hers is just a default of 3, so incredible. And then it's the big version of decreased defense and weaken, and you can get the buff chance all the way up to 100% on that. Amazing ability. This blind with infatuation is one of the best abilities in the game. And then we've got another AoE ability with a 50% chance of placing an HP burn debuff for 2 turns, and we can get that booked up to a 75% chance, and this is more the normal style that an AoE ability is designed. The final level upgrade is going to be a cooldown, and then we also get a tandem ability here that removes all buffs from all enemies with a 50% chance of granting an extra turn that is only available when Cupidus is on the same team. And if we back out, Cupidus is going to be a Spirit Legendary right here, kind of next to Venus on the Sacred Order Index. She also has an aura of increased ally HP in all battles by 33%. A really good aura. All battles are typically the best auras, and then speed, defense, and HP are the best, and 33% is a good percentage. So it's all battles, it's a good aura, and it's a good percentage. She didn't even need an aura to be good. She's already insane, but just throwing that onto her kit makes her even more insane. And do remember, for always on my champion guides, I have one of these infographics that will be available down in the video description if you want to pull that up and take a look. It's got the general information. It shows that she requires 11 books to max out all of her abilities and all that good stuff. Now you'll notice one thing interesting about this infographic is the first time I've ever done this. Let me know if you like it or dislike it and all that. I showed all 3 trees of the masteries because you're gonna have to pick 2 out of 3. Now Admiral here that I'm using for this video has the offense and defense tree because has a very specific build and unkillable comp that he uses his Venus in, and went the defense route just because didn't want anything on the support tree to really mess anything up in terms of granting turn meter and throwing off a composition, and wasn't really getting much utility out of the support tree, so they went the defense route. But the support tree is going to be very good in general for Venus, so I didn't want to not point that out in this video, so that's why I put all 3 tiers there. I would recommend in general for a Venus, you're going to want to go the offense and defense, or offense and support trees, sorry, because the Master Hexer is so good for her. She places so many good debuffs, the poison on an A1, the big decreased defense, and the big weaken, along with the HP burn. Master Hexer is just so good on her that it's going to be tough to justify not scooping up the accuracy and the Master Hexer in terms of her masteries. So definitely keep that in mind when you're doing the masteries on your Venus. But the offense tree is going to be pretty standard. You're almost always going to want to go War Master on her. You're going to take that standard crit rate down to crit damage down the left side and scoop up the War Master on her, because if you get Venus, you're probably going to want to use her in the clan boss more often than not, and she's going to be an amazing debuff for those constant War Master procs and faction wars and dungeons. Will be great for your clear times as well. So let's put that away. That'll be down in the description if you want to pull that back up. And let's just talk about all the boxes that Venus checks and why she is so good in raid and so generally useful. So if I pull this up here, this is going to be the roles that Venus checks, the different things that she brings to the table. Look how long this list is. A multi-hit A1, an A1 that places poison, 2 different AoE abilities, big defense break, big weaken, HP burn on an AoE, by the way, great all battle aura, tandem ability with Cupidus, low cooldowns on default that you don't even need to book on her A2. It's just a default low cooldown. Amazing base stats, including an amazing base speed that's one of the best in the game. She's void affinity, so she's not going to be weak, and you can use her in any dungeon no matter what the affinity is. And build diversity. She can be a support, a damage dealer that equips with lifesteal. She could be a campaign farmer that does your runs in 10 to 15 seconds. She can literally do anything and do well. I forgot the space here, but yeah, she probably checks the most boxes out of anybody in the game. Siphi would be pretty close to her, and that's why they are the top 2 legendaries in terms of how they graded out on my tier list. So we'll put that away. I thought that would just be kind of fun to run down the ridiculous amount of utility this champion has. But let's go out here and pull up Venus, and we'll talk about building her and gearing her out and all that good stuff here. So here is Venus, and remember, Admiral has the Venus build in lifesteal and speed, which is a good general setup for a recommendation for Venus. That way you can steal lifesteal off of the War Master procs and get good speed on her. You do want her in good speed because she has a debuffer, so you want her going early in the rotation, especially in your dungeons. If you're not using her in a clan boss scenario, you could pump her up to 225, 240 speed, and that would be just fine. But in terms of a clan boss scenario, you're going to want to get her tuned to perform properly, especially if you're doing an unkillable comp like this person is. But for the banner, you're almost always going to want accuracy, your best banner in terms of accuracy, speed, and sustain. I do recommend building her as a support instead of like a glass cannon, high attack, high crit damage nuker like a Skull Crown. I would go a little bit more the general support route in terms of her gear. The amulet, now Admiral went crit damage, which is fine because he's using her to do some damage in an unkillable comp, but flat defense would also be a great choice here. Ring, you're almost always going to want flat defense. Remember, her base defense is only 980, so we're not going to use a whole lot of defense percent gear. So when we can scoop up big flat defense rolls with the ring and the amulet, that is a very optimal decision. We're almost always going to want speed boots on her. And then for the chest, you can go a lot of different routes. Probably attack or HP. Remember, with the low base defense, we're not going to get nearly as much out of going a defense percent chest. But if you have an insane defense percent chest with lots of speed and accuracy as substats and stuff, that's totally fine. You've got a lot of wiggle room on what kind of chest you put onto her. And then for the gloves, again, crit damage here, but you can also make an argument for crit rate, HP percent, defense percent, all sorts of different things. It's really depending on how you're building her, as long as you make the gloves and the amulet synergize. If you're going to be going crit, rate or crit damage gloves, you're going to want a crit damage amulet. If you're going a toughness glove like HP or defense, you're probably going to want to go a defense amulet. The top gear is going to be a lot more self-explanatory. We're just going for our best blend of speed and sustain typically, especially in a clan boss scenario like the Venus that you are seeing here. So there's that, just in case you're curious. And I already had a pretty in-depth discussion about the masteries. Remember the infographics down in the video description if you want to pull them up. This is the setup that Admiral went if you wanted to see it for the clan boss comp. But I do recommend in terms of general utility for a Venus to go offense and support. And like I said, that's why I put both down in the video description if you want to pull that up. And then in terms of the booking process, that can be kind of fun to go over. So I think, the cool thing is, she comes with the default cooldown here. Now these books are very impactful. Getting these big defense break and big weakens to be a 100% chance, you definitely want to book this ability. These are high impact books, these 4 books right here. So Venus is well worth she's one of the most valuable champions in the game in terms of book value. You're going to use her in so many different scenarios that she's definitely worth the legendary books. So I would probably just go ahead and max her out, to be honest. I mean, if you have the book, spend them on her, she's worth it. But I would say these are the most crucial books to spend on her. If you're trying to be super budget for some reason, you could probably stop there, because the A1, the damage is not that great. You don't get any buff chance or anything as like a level 5. If you did that, like if you got 10% buff chance as level 5, it would probably be worth booking it. But I guess if you're being super budget, you could maybe save a book or 2 on the A1, because it's not super important to book the A1 damage. But she's worth it, so don't feel bad spending books on her. Go ahead and max her out if you have her. And then I like to dive in and show her in action in the end game campaign. Sometimes it's fun just to kind of see what they're capable of. So let's fire up a 12-3 Brutal, and I'm guessing it'll take about 15 seconds. You're not going to probably use her as a campaign farmer, but for newer players that summon Venus, she's definitely capable of slotting into that role and doing perfectly fine. She's just as good as any of the really good rares in terms of farming the campaign in like 12 to 18 seconds, somewhere in there when you've got her built. So there is that, and let's also show her in a dungeon scenario so we can kind of see what she's going to be doing in terms of a debuffer, and you can see her in action here in a Dragon 20 run. We'll go ahead and fire up with this team. Pretty nice team here with the Duchess, the Venus, the Draco, Royal Guard, Seer. Okay, so this is the team that the Admiral had set up, and let's take a look at how this works here. So, all right, yep, Venus with the debuffs. The Karma Burn, the Seer nukes. Seer is insane for nuking waves and getting you to bosses as soon as possible. So kind of a cool team to see in action here. And with the Venus and Draco, you're basically going to have a permanent big defense break and big weaken up on your opponents. So that's kind of cool as well. Oh, the Draco actually fell over, but we've got the rebirth from Duchess. And then we'll be able to see the numbers that come through. Obviously, Seer, and a lot of good damage dealers on this team. So Seer, Draco, Royal Guard will all probably be top 3, and then you'll have Venus coming in at 4th. Because Venus is really going to scale for long battles when those HP burn and A1 poisons can really scale up. In a battle like this, you're going to have your Seer and your Royal Guards where they do a lot of damage. But a pretty solid Dragon 20 team. I like it. And Venus can basically slot into any dungeon team and do just fine. Because the Void Affinity, she's never weak, so you can really get her in any situation, and she'll perform well as a debuffer for you. And there it is. So yeah, Venus actually did beat the Royal Guard. I didn't really expect that, and I expected Draco to do a little bit more. So yeah, you can see the numbers in terms of damage-wise. The Venus kept up with the Royal Guard, and the Seer. It was pretty evenly distributed there. So very cool, and Venus can really do some work in the Dragon and any other dungeon. So now let's talk about her grades in the different areas of the game. They've got recommended speed and HP. I mean, okay, fine there. Clan Boss 5. I mean, she's going to be one of the better ones that I ever do this for. Spider Den with the Void, the 2 AoEs, the debuffing. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give her a 5. There's definitely some team setups that she wouldn't be optimal in, but in terms of general Spider progression and what she brings to the table, yeah, I'll give her a 5. Arena offense, I'm going to give her a 4. I mean, in a speed team, all of those debuffs could be really good, but she doesn't like do True Fear or block Revive or Provoke or any, but the 2 debuffs are really good. I'll give her a 5. Arena defense, I'll give her a 4. But yeah, just the Void Affinity and never hitting weak, the reliable debuffing of the weaken and the decreased defense, I'll give her a 5, but I guess I could argue a 4 in the arena. Campaign, 5, sure there. Minotaur, 5. The grading process is going to be pretty easy for her because of the general usefulness. Void Keep, 5. Fire Knight, she's got the multi-hit A1, the reliable debuffs. I'll give her a 5. Force Keep, obviously a 5. She decreases defense. Big defense break is great there. As a support in the Golem, yeah. 5. Spirit. I mean, she doesn't have specific, like, heal reduction. She doesn't bring a specific mechanic that's great for the magic of the Spirit. So these are tough. It's like a 4.5. You can justify a 4 or a 5, but she's just so generally good. I'm going to give her a 5 anyway, but it would be like a 4.5 because she doesn't like steal buffs or do heal reduction or anything like that, or remove turn meter or something that would be really good in the Spirit and Magic Keep. So yeah, let's put this away and put a bow on this video here. So remember, I do have that infographic down in the video description. I'll get that pulled up here so you can look at it while we're wrapping up here. Again, huge shout out to Admiral Snackbar for letting me use his account to make this video, because I like to do these videos with champions that I have in my account, but odds are I'm probably never going to have Venus. So my only way to do a video for somebody like Siphi or Venus is to take advantage of somebody who has the champion, because there's a good chance I'll never have these type of champions, these S-tier Void legendaries. So that was fun to be able to play around with her and work on this video. And if you're here watching this video because you have Venus, congratulations, you have one of the best and most generally useful champions in the game, and you should definitely max her out to the fullest of your capabilities. 60, 6-star, full books, and have fun with slotting her into your different dungeon teams and really helping your account progress. So yeah, one of the coolest champions in the game. I really love Venus. She's got cool aesthetic. She's got a cool kit. She's amazing in many different areas of the game. And if you have her, congratulations. You will enjoy using her and having fun kind of progressing your account with her. So that's going to do it for this video. I really appreciate you watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.